For this video, I wanted to give a little bit of in-depth look of how I start a project like this. Whenever you're fully restoring a car, you're going real deep into everything. Every part gets restored, cleaned up or replaced, put back together. So I'm gonna hopefully give you a little bit of the tips that I use in doing this to help me speed up the process. There is a method to my madness on this. Everyone has a different way of doing it. But I'll just give you a quick run through of how I get started on this. You can see I have parts laid out. That's the key, in my opinion, to doing a restoration project. So basically I go piece by piece in groups, and I'll lay everything out, restore, blast, powder coat, paint, whatever I'm painting, get all the hardware together. You can see here on the table I got the pedal assembly, and for the pedal assembly I need the brake booster adapter for the Boss 429. It kicks the booster and the master cylinder off a little bit to clear the motor. So everything that's related right here I want to get cleaned up, ready to go so I can put it in. I'm also going to paint the booster and get the master cylinder, all the hardware ready for those so I can stick them together. So I'm going to blast these pieces here in the center. It's all taken apart. In this instance, I'm going to powder coat all this stuff because I have the ability to. I have the oven back there, which in this video I'll show that. I'm going to blast some of these parts, tape up things that I may need to tape or plug, like you want to cap off the through hole here that the pedal is going to ride into, because there's a bushing in there, so the clearance needs to be tight. I'll show you all that stuff in this video and powder coat some pieces so you can see that process before everything starts going together. But all my hardwares are laid out that I need. A lot of this stuff is going to get reused other than the bushings I'm going to replace in here. The pedals I'm actually going to clean up because these are original. This was a really low mileage car, 18,000 miles the car had on it, which is sad, but that's a likely case for a lot of these Boss 429s. But this is what I'm doing for every piece of the car while I'm restoring it. Get everything together. You can lay everything out, know what hardware you needed to have to go with it, so that when you have the part done, nothing is holding you up from putting it in. You don't go, oh man, I forgot that pin that I needed to be able to do something else in the process. So I have laid out mostly all my trunk stuff right now so I can finish the whole back end of the car. I'll have a video on installing all this back pieces. I'll have that all in one video coming up where I'll do the tail lights, sticking that stuff in, gas cap, tank, trunk weather strip, trunk letters, rear valance with the backup lights, the rear bumper, and the side marker lights. So I'm going to try and incorporate all that stuff into one video. So I'm going to prep everything now, which you'll see some of that in this video as far as blasting and powder coating. Original taillight housings and the fuel filler pipe, bumper brackets, all the original stuff I'm going to be using on this car as much as I possibly can. So with that, I got all my taillight mounting hardware that I need, lens gaskets, everything to be able to set the taillights together. Backup lights, they have the hardwares in them. Marker lights, everything's laid out there. Gas tank, fuel sending unit, clamps, cap, hardware, gasket, seal, or the rubber seal that goes around it, fuel line from the bottom. There's a lot of pieces to a restoration. It is overwhelming. It helps if you document everything whenever you're taking it apart, if it's your first car. And I have the bumper laid out over there with the license plate light, bumper bracket bolts, and all that. So it's a little overwhelming, especially if you've never done a restoration before, but an easy way to help you if it's your first time is buy a car that's complete. If you can afford to get something that's all together, at least you know what you're taking off, so what you need, and bag everything as you're taking it apart. So I'm going to go ahead and start blasting some of these pieces, get them ready, clean them, hang them, get them ready for the powder coat so you can see the process of powder coating, which is, I find it really interesting. It's a nice advantage that I learned a while back to doing this stuff. I think it lasts a lot longer. Some people might say, oh, stuff wasn't powder coated from the factory. I'm trying to make it last as long as possible, especially for this customer. He's not going to sell his car. So I'm going to make this thing as bulletproof as possible as far as lasting as long as possible. So I'm going to take you over to the sandblast cabinet, get everything cleaned up, and going. So let's get started. And just so you can see what I'm working with here, I have a Scat Blast. It's a 4-foot long cabinet. It works perfect for doing all the small parts, but the wood setup, it's tough to see inside there what I'm doing, so I'll just start blasting, pull them out and show you what it looks like cleaned up before we powder coat them. All right, so now all my pieces are completely ready to be coated. Everything's blasted, sprayed down. You can see I capped off threads or plugged holes that need to be plugged. Use tape on places that you don't want tape. Like this is for the clutch rod. For the Z-bar goes on there, so there's a little plastic ball that goes on there that it's riding on, so it needs to be clean surface. This is going through the bushings on the pedal support, so that needs to be clean. That'll get greased up, and just capping off holes with plugs that are threaded, so I don't have to go back and chase those threads at all. So basically in the process, once everything's cleaned up, this is the setup here. I got an oven. It's big enough that I could almost stand up in it. I can do full rear end housings like a motorcycle frame. Anything like that size or smaller, it's perfect for. So what you're gonna see me do is I put everything in there, preheat it, and I'm gonna go by colors. There's I think 2 or 3 different colors I'm doing here. Preheat it, I'll hang it up, spray it. You can see everything's on a switch here. Spray it with my gun. Here's the powder gun. Powder is just what it is, it's powder. You can see I have a ton of stuff here. It's just an actual powder itself. So I'll load it up in the hopper on the gun, hang it, spray it, put it back in, it bakes it on, comes out, let it cool down, and it's all done. That's it. Single coat stuff. It's pretty straightforward. So I'll set up the GoPro and catch that, and we'll check it out after it's all dry that I can touch it. All right, everything is, for the most part, powder coated and painted that I had started with in the beginning of the day here. You can see the finish on those taillight housings. And you can see the number yet. Still in it, clear as can be. Cleaned up the original lenses, original trim pieces that are going around the lenses. Have all my gaskets ready there for that's all good to go. These I powder coated a while back. I had blasted those on an outdoor style because they're a bigger piece, but those are powder coated. The booster and some of these brackets, all the pedal assembly stuff, that's all done. It is like the cast iron steel color. So as you can see, I taped off The pedals, I just have to finish off the bottom half in the black, how they were originally, to mimic how they were originally. Originally, I believe they were dipped, that bottom half, in a black. So throttle pedal's done, that's painted. And hardware for the booster, that's painted. I just have to get a gold trim paint for that to be like a gold zinc color. The original pads I cleaned up. They are actually the original pads off of it. They have a C9 number on the back actually, if it can catch that. And the Ford stamping. So that stuff's all good to go. So all I have to do is paint these bottoms, and then that pedal assembly's ready to go back together. But that's like a quick gist of powder coating, and then basically what you've seen with that to get that back end stuff ready, that's what I have to do for the rest of all the other parts for the car. Whether it's painting it, powdering it, just cleaning it, just to get it ready to go together on the car. So next video will be probably putting that back end together. I just want to finish painting that stuff, and then I'll assemble it so it's ready to just go onto the car there and get the back end looking like a car again. So that's it for this video. I appreciate you watching. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. There's more videos coming. I'm going to try and stay in the consistent mode that I am. It feels good to do some videos, to put some of this information out there for anyone that might be doing something similar to help in their restoration. So I'll see you in the next video.